So I want to talk about The Last of Us on HBO Max, and the reason why I want to talk about this is because I haven't been reviewing the episodes, but I've been watching it. I've been watching it every week when it comes out. I absolutely love what I've been seeing of it. Last of Us has always been a really good property, really good game. The second game is very divisive, to say the least, but I really enjoy what they're doing, and this just goes to show you what could happen when a game property is done respectfully. And that's the biggest problem. I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood look at video game properties and they look at it as like, oh, it's just this kiddie video game thing, and they're not really putting a lot of respect in it. And you can kind of see that with Halo, and you can kind of see it with like the Tomb Raider movies that were rebooted, which those Tomb Raider movies just get me so upset. Those Tomb Raider movies, Tomb Raider movie, because they only did one of the reboot, the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider. Because if you look, that movie was based off of Crystal Dynamics' version, the reboot of Tomb Raider, which is a much more grittier survival-based game. It isn't that whole cheesy, short shorts, big boobs, Lara Croft running through the jungle, Tomb Raider. It was about a girl looking for something. She gets stranded on the island and she has to learn how to survive. I really kind of like say, if they would have took like Liam Neeson's The Gray and turned it into Tomb Raider, that's what Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider actually is. And as she's on this island, she discovers, mysteries and all that stuff. But it's much more grounded, realistic Tomb Raider. But you can see when a property like The Last of Us actually pays a lot of respect to the source material and takes it very serious. And then you look at something like Paramount Plus's Tomb Raider, and you can see clearly by Paramount Plus that they really did not care or respect the characters from Halo at all. Like they did not respect. And this could either be, people could sit there and say, well, Master Chief took his helmet off and all this stuff. I feel like you could easily get away with Master Chief taking his helmet off every now and then, but it was the changes they made to his character that bothered me. It was never Master Chief taking off his helmet, right? Because I would feel like eventually this dude would have to take off his helmet, although The Mandalorian shows us that is not necessary and you do not really need to do that. But Paramount Plus said, hey, we want our Master Chief to run around without a helmet, and that's perfectly fine. But it was the changes to his character, his personality, him trying to have memories of his past, trying to discover what happened to him and all that stuff. And he was very emotional. He's having relationships with women, and it's a very big departure from what we know as Master Chief, who is this silent soldier, right? Even General Lasky at the end of Halo 4 had to sit there and say, we're just people. You say that like we're machines, and that was something that Cortana was trying to get through to him, even with her dying breath. Which one of us is the machine? So I feel like Paramount really dropped the ball with Halo, but when you look at something like The Last of Us, you can see that Warner Brothers, HBO, and the director of this series is taking it very, very seriously, and that is something that more video game properties need to be. Video games have changed a lot since the dawn of the video game era, right? It isn't just about Mario getting the mushroom, saving the princess from Bowser. It's so much more than that. Video games now have multiple layers. Look at any of the Final Fantasy games. Look at what they did with the Uncharted movie. The Uncharted movie, they didn't understand what Uncharted was. Even though it was Sony Pictures and it was a Sony property, Sony didn't even understand their own properties, right? They fell into the Hollywood trope of, we have to cast younger Nathan Drake and a younger Sully because it has to carry the franchise. Even though, it had nothing to do with Uncharted. At the end of the day, it had nothing to do with Uncharted. Uncharted is a great, fun little treasure hunt where always something kind of weird and spiritual happens at the end, and you have these monsters and stuff. They unleash something, right? Like when they went to Hell Dorado and all that stuff, right? They unleashed something, and there was none of that supernatural element in the Uncharted movie. In fact, there was really nothing Uncharted in the Uncharted movie, except for they played the music cue for a second, and they had the voice actor of Nathan Drake actually on the beach for a cameo. So there was really nothing Uncharted about the Uncharted movie. But when you look at something like, I feel like Sonic the Hedgehog has gotten it right by really capturing the essence of what Sonic is. They even respected the fans so much to go back and change his actual character design. And then you look at something like The Last of Us, and they're like, no, we're going to pay respect to this. And I'm glad to see that, because remember, before superhero movies were everywhere, superhero movies in general were much like video game movies, where they really weren't taken all that serious, and we get stuff like Batman and Robin and Spawn and all that stuff. And it was very hit and miss for the longest time. And it really wasn't until X-Men, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, that we really started to get these properties, taking them a little bit more serious. And then we got to the MCU, and then like everything changed. And I feel like hopefully with Last of Us, with the upcoming Mario movie, with Sonic, that we start taking a turn and these video game movies start becoming a little bit better. And I've been watching Last of Us. I think it's phenomenal. I absolutely think it's phenomenal. I think it's changing the way Hollywood needs to look at video games and video game properties, and realize that these are not just for kids, because a lot of these games are adults, people my age playing these games. People my age are, waiting for Final Fantasy 16, playing The Last of Us, looking forward to Uncharted, playing God of War, playing Halo, playing, I have Atomic Hearts loaded up on my Xbox Series X right now from Game Pass, and I'm diving it in as soon as I get done with this video. But we are the ones playing these games, and if you are going to adapt these games, then you need to be more respectful to the source material and not look at it as tongue-in-cheek, because I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood are looking at these things going, haha, it's a video game. It's like, no, try to be a little bit more respectful to this material, because we respect it, right? We had a Metal Gear movie that has been in development hell for about 7-8 years now, right? It was announced. It's called Metal Gear Guns of the Patriots, which is a play on Metal Gear Solid 4. Metal Gear Solid was one of my favorite franchises of all time. It was actually higher than Final Fantasy at one point, and then it kind of trickled down a little bit. But Metal Gear is still very, very important to me as a person. They cast Oscar Isaac as Snake / Big Boss, or whoever he's going to be playing, and we haven't heard nothing from it, because I feel like Hollywood is going against the director who's a fan of Metal Gear, and he wants to do it very respectfully. Metal Gear is a very simple story, right? You think it might be convoluted, but it's not. It's actually a very simple story, right? You do a movie about Snake being a rookie. You got Big Boss as his general. He's got to go in and rescue Gray Fox and then stop Metal Gear. Very simple story. Base it off the original Nintendo MSX version, and then you're off and running. Then you do the sequel, Snake's Revenge. Then you get to Metal Gear Solid. I know they already want to jump into Metal Gear Solid because Metal Gear Solid is the marquee name. Metal Gear Solid is what introduced a lot of us who are fans now to the franchise. But the game started with Metal Gear on the MSX. And it's a very simple story to adapt, and then you build into the craziness that Kojima has made with Metal Gear Solid and the Metal Gear Solid franchise. But I'm hoping with The Last of Us, with the show being so successful, and if somehow Sony can knock it out of the park on Amazon with the God of War series, and I'm kind of worried about that. Right, I feel like God of War should be on HBO Max. I feel like HBO, if nothing else, HBO knows how to make good television. Right, you can never really say HBO doesn't know, like Game of Thrones, Sopranos. Right, that's just to name a few. That's just to name a couple when there's so many different shows going on HBO. Right, so it was kind of like obvious that they were going to hit it out of the park with The Last of Us. I'm hoping that video games have made this turn. Directors, producers, and executives of Hollywood realize, hey, if you do it right, we will come. Hey, Paramount, Microsoft, what you guys did with Halo, the bastardization you did to my boy, Master Chief, Sierra 117, Chief, what you guys did, that's not right. You look at what Last of Us did as the template and do better, because there's no reason why Master Chief, you completely assassinated his personality, his character. You assassinated his character, and that was the biggest problem. It isn't about him taking his helmet on and off. It's about assassinating what that character is, what that character stands for. When you look at something like The Last of Us, Joel is Joel. Ellie is Ellie. These characters are these characters, and that is why The Last of Us is getting such praise, because they're taking the source material and adapting it. People like me who played the game can enjoy it, and people like my fiance who never played the game is enjoying it as a series, because they are taking it with respect and they're taking it with care, and that is the biggest problem when it comes to video game properties. That is why we get so many bad things, like the Mortal Kombat movie, where they introduce like a Cole Young who is not even in the video game, because they have the old school Hollywood mentality of, we need to introduce a new character so the audience can relate to that character. We did not relate to that character Cole Young because you created him. He wasn't us. In the original Mortal Kombat movie, Luke Kane was that character, that fish out of water that we had to relate to. Why not continue that? Why not make Johnny Cage that character? Why create a whole new character and bastardize the lore of Mortal Kombat just so you can kind of like have this old school mentality of, we have to do this in order for the audience? You got to stop pretending like the audience is dumb and start telling good stories, and the audience will come. That's the biggest problem. Get out of this old school Hollywood mentality. Look what the Sonic the Hedgehog movies have done. Look at what The Last of Us has done, and follow suit. Go forward, and you will get better results each and every time. This whole Tomb Raider, Alicia Vikander, like, it was one of the best castings. And then you get this movie and you realize, oh, they're turning this into another generic CGI fest, crappy, basically run-of-the-mill type movies that we can see anywhere. And that's not what the Crystal Dynamics movie, or that's not what the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider game is. It's about a girl looking for her father. Actually, I believe she's looking for her father in her second one. But it's a girl looking for an island, and she gets stranded, and she has to survive. It should have been a survival-based movie with this girl fighting for her life, but they decided to go over the top because it's a video game property. And I think Hollywood needs to get out of this mentality. Anyway, guys, I've been rambling on for way too long, but The Last of Us has been doing very well. The show has been fantastic. Can't wait to watch the next episode. Have you been watching Last of Us? How do you feel about the state of video game properties translating over to the small and big screen? Leave those comments in the comment box below. Smash that like and subscribe button. Until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that is my opinion.